Last night, the Astros win total kept running with their 11th straight. Houston bats provided Mike Hampton with all the runs he would need in winning his 20th of the year. You don't want to miss this one. Houston goes for 12 straight tonight. In Houston, Astros taking on the Phillies tonight. Let's take a look at the starting lineup for Philadelphia, and it's brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Doug Glanville will lead it off. Ron Gant hitting second, Bobby Abreu third. Then it's Mike Lieberthal, Rico Brogna, Kevin Jordan, Marlon Anderson, Desi Relaford hitting eighth, and Paul Byrd, the pitcher, hitting ninth. On the mound for Houston, Shane Reynolds. He snapped a 4-game losing streak in his last start. That was a 3-1 win at Philadelphia. Ranks first in the majors in the fewest walks per 9 innings and has allowed only 1 run over his past 15 and 2/3 innings pitched. Defense behind Shane tonight: Ken Caminetti, Ricky Gutierrez, Biggio Bagwell left to right. In the outfield from left to right, Darrell Ward, Carl Everett, and Bill Spires. Tony Eusebio will be catching tonight's game. The umpires behind the plate: Dana DeMuth. Down the first base line, Marvin Hudson. Down the third base line, Ron Culpa. And at second base, Charlie Relaford. So we're ready to go as the Astros go for 12, and here to call the play-by-play is Bill Brown.
Thank you, Bill. And as the Astros begin this game tonight, it's a 1-1 tie in Cincinnati. The Cubs and the Reds, they've played 3.5 innings. Reds now batting in the bottom of the 4th against Kyle Farnsworth. Pete Harnish is pitching for Cincinnati. Shane Reynolds versus Doug Glanville. Glanville second in the National League in hits with 180. And there's strike one from Shane. Glanville has the 8th best batting average in the league. He was over walk in last.
And of course, the wide open spaces, he can challenge a lot of hitters, as he just did then with Glanville. And he's got a pretty good outfielder there in Everett to run it down.
Ron Gant, the native of Victoria, is next. He has scored 95 runs this year with a .253 average, 16 homers and 66 runs batted in for Ron. He shows bunt and takes strike one. He's been a nemesis for Shane over the years. Ron, 2 for 4 in last night's game. He missed a few games with a lower back strain. .361 career hitter against Shane Reynolds with 5 homers, 6 doubles, and 11 runs batted in. And there's another hit. This time he goes to right field. He continues to find holes when he hits against Shane.
Well, you notice what he's doing now that we've never seen him do, and that's take the ball the other way. He's been mostly a power pull hitter, but if he's going to start hitting like this now, he becomes a much different type hitter to pitch to, because he's taking that outside pitch the opposite way.
Gant has good wheels. He has only 9 steals and 12 tries. The lower back problems lately might cost him a step or two. He's aboard for Bobby Abreu. Abreu is second in the batting race to Larry Walker, who's miles ahead of him right now. But Abreu, with a respectable .342 average, 20 homers, and 88 runs batted in, has really drawn some rave reviews for his bat work.
Hey, Walker went, what, 4 for 5 last night, so he just about sewed it up. He's at .372.
Yeah.
And, oh, excuse me, .373. I missed one somewhere, but he looks like he's got that one pretty well tucked away.
Certainly did. But this young man has nothing to be detracted from as far as his accomplishments this year. Double play depth on the infield. He bunts foul. 1-1. Hal McRae, his hitting coach, calls him a Tony Gwynn with power.
Yeah, you're right, Bill. And, of course, we saw him develop as a baby in the Astros organization. He and Richard Hidalgo came up about the same time. The Astro brass at the time, and a lot of those people aren't around anymore, made the decision that Hidalgo would be the most promising player, so he got lost in the expansion draft. Abreu did, and the rest is history.
Abreu with 20 homers, 19 steals, close to a 2020 status. Bouncer to short. Gutierrez comes in. It's slowly hit. He has to zing it to first, and he does for out number 2. No play at second on Gant. Once he crossed in front of second base, and with Gant having good speed, that took him out of a play at second.
Good play by Ricky. He's really turned in some sparkling defensive plays over the last 5 or 6 games, and it's good having him out there. And, of course, Bogar behind him really gives you some great defense on the left and the right side. This defense is as good as it's been in a long time.
Mike Lieberthal is back behind the plate. He did not start last night's game. It was Tom Prince behind the plate last night. Lieberthal having a sensational year. He takes the fastball for strike one. He's a point below 300 with 29 homers and 85 runs batted in for Lieberthal. A new club record for home runs by a catcher, breaking the record set by Darren Daulton, who hit 27 in '92. Breaking ball misses. It's 1-1 to Lieberthal, who has hit .322 with men in scoring position. This Phillies club has a lot of outstanding hitters when there are men at second or second and third this year. Phillies are 6th in the league in runs scored. They've scored a few more than the Astros. Oh, what a split. It's 1-2 to Lieberthal.
Keep an eye on Shane early. Usually it takes him a couple of innings to get that split finger the way he wants it. But that had some exceptional break on it.
Shane was dazzling in his last start against the Philadelphia Phillies. Gave up 4 hits and 1 run in 7 2/3 innings and won at 3-1. He had a no-hitter for 5 innings. Then there was a rain delay. Fly ball out into left center field. Carl Everett coming in for out number 3. No runs, a hit, a runner stranded. After a half an inning, no score.
Ball Club, and it's brought to you by Southwest Airlines. They'll lead it off with Craig Biggio, Bill Spires, Jeff Bagwell, Carl Everett, Caminetti, Ward, Eusebio, Gutierrez, and Reynolds hitting ninth. On the mound, a tough right-hander out of LSU, Paul Byrd, who pitched well in his last start. He had a no decision and a 3-1 loss to the Astros and Shane Reynolds. Tonight, his second straight start against Houston and Reynolds, of course. 7-2 on the road with a 3.34 ERA. He'll have Jordan, Relaford, Anderson, Bronya around the infield, Gant, Glanville, Abreu, and Mike Lieberthal, the catcher.
Paul Byrd was the only pitcher in the National League to beat Randy Johnson last year. Johnson's only loss came when Byrd shut out the Astros 4-0 in Philadelphia on a 4-hitter. All those hits were singles. And he pitched a strong game in his last start against Shane. Craig Biggio takes a strike on a fastball from Byrd. Biggio at .301 has 14 homers, 67 runs batted in. He was again a thorn in the Phillies side last night. Puts that one in the air foul, and out of play for Rico Bronya. 0-2. Last night, Biggio opened the game with a walk, scored a run, doubled in a run in the 4th, hit by a pitch in the 7th, scored another run. 112 runs scored, and he's hit .353 against Philadelphia. He has 174 base hits this year. That's in the top 6 in the league. Biggio puts it in the air to right. Abreu in. 1 out for Paul Byrd. Byrd has pitched better on the road. Veterans Stadium, not a good place for a fly ball pitcher. Paul, away from the vet, is 7-2 with a 3.34 run average. Overall, he's 14-8, Bill.
Got good stuff, Brownie, and he likes to spot it. He's an inside-outside pitcher. He likes to change speeds. He's not going to overwhelm you, but he does get you to hit the ball, and you hit it in the air. You get a lot of fly ball outs, as you pointed out, but he'll move that ball around. He has good location.
Bill Spires the next to face him. Ball on to Bill. 291 his average.
Deadly, as you notice, against right-handers with that move that he has. They're hitting down around 200 against him, but 255 overall. So he's very effective against righties. Lefties can't hit him.
And they have, to the tune of 306 this year with 14 long balls. 1-1 to Bill Spires, who had a fine game last night. 2 walks and a double. He's a little concerned about some of his family members having to evacuate their homes in South Carolina. That is quite a hurricane moving in, Bill.
Boy, when you've got a hurricane the size of the state of Texas, I'd say that's big.
No, it is. Bill Spires fits very nicely into this spot between Biggio and Bagwell, the number 2 hole in the order. Takes the breaking ball, and it's 1-2. The Astros, with 90 wins, have a 3-game lead over Cincinnati. It's now 1-1 after 4 between the Cubs and the Reds. Bill has now started at 6 different positions, and he's played 7. Line drive to left, ahead in front of Ron Gant. And the Astros get their number 2 man on with a nice 2-strike swing.
What a good job of hitting by Bill Spires. He got a lot of soft stuff, some sliders. They tried to go backdoor on him, and then he tried to hump up and throw a fastball by him on the outside part of the plate. Watch the quick bat. Boom, right there. Didn't try to pull it, just hit it right there where it was pitched.
A slumping Jeff Bagwell reached base several times last night. He was hit twice. He had an RBI single, and he walked 4 times on base. His average .304, 40 homers, 116 runs batted in. He's hit by a pitch again.
Man, I don't know now. That's 3 times.
Well, Bird has control problems, especially with that drop-down delivery against right-handed batters. This is his 16th hit batsman of the year.
Well, you're right. And, of course, he also has 9 wild pitches, so he is a little wild around the plate, but still, that has to be the way they've decided to pitch Houston, and especially Bagwell inside. There, you get an idea of hit by pitches. Bird leads the league.
Bagwell's now been hit 10 times this year. Carl Everett, the batter. He'll try to make Bird pay. With these 2 base runners on. Everett is plucked. Now the bases are loaded. And even though the fans are irate, the Astros realize they're getting a gift horse right here. Bases loaded, 1 out. Ken Caminetti coming up.
Yeah, it's difficult if you're Bird right now. You know he doesn't mean to do this. He doesn't want to load the bases by any stretch of the imagination, but he needs only 1 pitch to get out of it with a double play ball. If you're the Astros, this has to be frustrating. I still don't know why they insist on pitching Everett inside, though, Bill. This is what he likes. He likes that inside pitch. I'd be going away from him as much as I could because that's why he gets close to the plate.
Galen Cisco, the pitching coach, coming out. In Bird's last start against the Astros, Craig Biggio led off the game on a 2-0 pitch. He was hit by Bird, and that again triggered problems in the first inning, even though he got out of that jam. But now he's hit 2 batters after the single, and bases are loaded as Galen Cisco talks with him. And you realize if you're Paul Bird, you have to come inside. And he has dominated right-handed hitters. They've hit only .210 against him this year, but he's missing inside now both ways to right-handed and left.
This is why I like the Astros so well against tough right-handed pitching now, because now you have Everett, Caminetti, and Ward right in a row. Those are 3 very good left-handed bats.
Caminetti has sizzled lately. .290, 9 homers, 42 runs batted in. He's 4 for 12 on this homestand. Cammy had a sacrifice fly and a walk last night. That's inside, and it's ball 1. Barrel Ward on deck. Cammy has hit .375 in his last 16 starts. He's driven in 20 runs in those 16 starts. Ground ball to the left of Anderson. He goes to second. Desi Relaford goes airborne for a quick double play. And Paul Bird is out of it. No runs a hit, 2 men left, and Paul Bird has a big double play ball to keep it scoreless after 1.
Win a trip.
Well, they'll memorize it, Bill. They're that sharp. You hear from them.
Just know your own phone number.
Well, the Astros had quite an opportunity. Bases loaded, 1 out, but then Paul Bird flew the coop and got the double play ball. Now it's Rico Bronya. And strike 1 as Shane comes inside over the corner. Bronya has scored 81 runs. He's driven in 90 with 21 homers and a .281 batting average. Movement on the split takes it low and outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Shane 7-1 in his career against the Phillies with a 2.70 ERA and 4 straight victories against this club. He was 3-0 against them last year. Golfed into right field. Bill Spires back. 1 out.
Hey, to get that much wood on it, he had to be looking for the splitter.
He was looking down. Dropped the barrel of the bat.
That's the one thing I think, Shane, is you take a look at the distribution of his outs. The one thing he has to guard against is relying too much on that splitter. They really start sitting on it. So that's why a lot of games you got to force him to throw that fastball and the curve a little bit more early in the game and then change it up if he's got a good one later.
Kevin Jordan, taking a fastball for strike one. Continues to play every day at third base for the injured Scott Rowland and produce good numbers. A .306 average, 4 homers, and 43 runs batted in. He had a hit and an RBI last night. Broken bat roller. Shane coming inside, and he's in front now. 0-2. Jordan will go back for some new lumber. Harry Callis, the Phillies broadcaster, former Astros broadcaster, told us tonight before the game that the word is Scott Rowland is headed for Los Angeles for an examination on his ailing back. He may not play again this season.
Well, it was really tough, too, because the Phillies, they probably wouldn't have gotten into that playoff chase, but they were up over 500, and it was going to be the best-looking Philly team, except for the '93 team in the decade of the '90s, and it really was going to give them a stepping stone to next season. But Rowland's injury and Schilling's injury really shut them down.
And they've lost 10 in a row. Ground ball foul, third base side. Jordan 5 for 11 in his career against Shane. He's driven in 13 runs in his last 18 games. He's had 228 at-bats now as a starter, and he's hit .333. During the 9-game hitting streak, Kevin Jordan has been performing well. One ball and 2 strikes, but realistically the Phillies are certainly missing the power provided by Rowland at third. Inside, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Jordan has been one of those guys, a great pinch hitter over the last several years, well respected by pitchers around the National League. Now getting a chance to settle into that rhythm of getting 4 at-bats per game. Still 2 balls and 2 strikes.
When you put Rowland in the middle of his lineup, you look at Glanville, a good leadoff man. Gant's starting to go the opposite way. Pretty good 2-man with a lot of power. Abreu, Lieberthal. You have Rowland. Well, that's a nice-looking lineup.
Lineup that has produced 756 runs this year. Biggio fields it on one hop. Yeah, he got in his kitchen. Shane kept coming inside, and he gets out number 2. Good, persistent approach. Kept hammering away, and Jordan did not get good wood on this ball, Bill.
You notice Jordan had gone down to get the split the last pitch. Now he comes right back with a fastball on the hands. And there's just no way you can get the bat around if you're looking for the splitter.
Shane back on the beam in those last 2 starts. A no decision with 7 scoreless innings at Montreal. And then the win at Philadelphia. Faces Marlon Anderson. There's strike 1 to Anderson, a .245 hitter with 5 home runs, 45 runs batted in. Torey Lovullo was the second baseman last night. Now Anderson back in the starting lineup. He had a couple of 2-hit games against the Astros in Philadelphia. 1 ball and 1 strike. Shane aggressive tonight with that fastball inside on hitters both left and right-handed, Bill.
Has to be. It makes him much more effective with the split finger pitch.
And there it is.
Yeah. You know, he doesn't walk a lot of hitters. And that's by design because he gives up so many base hits. And that's why he doesn't like to walk hitters, is because if he walks and gives up base hits, then he gives up a lot of runs. He told me tonight he really envies a pitcher like Mike Hampton, who, when he gets behind an account, can go ahead and walk a guy and then get a double play ball right behind it. Shane doesn't get that many double play balls, so he has to be stingy with his base on balls.
That's a good comparison to the 2 styles. 2 and 2, as you see. Fewest walks per 9 innings in the majors for Shane, just 1.2. He's given up 221 hits in 211 innings. Not that same style of pitcher as is Mike Hampton, and he knows it. Whoa, that's a beautiful style, though, for his first strikeout of the night. And a 1-2-3 second to keep the game scoreless. One for Paul Bird. Ward with 7 home runs, 20 RBIs, and 109 at-bats has really fit nicely into this Houston lineup lately. He's hit .266. Darrell had a pop fly double and 4 at-bats last night, and that drove in a run. 1-1 to Darrell. He hit a home run off Paul Bird in the game in Philadelphia right after the rain delay. 1-2. the first pitch after the rain delay, he went deep. That broke a scoreless tie. Those are good numbers for Darrell Ward. Nice pitch by Paul Bird for his first strikeout of the night. Took something off that pitch down and in.
Yeah, you see, Bird shows you don't have to throw hard to win in this game. It's all about location and changing of speeds. He threw 86, 74, and 78. So he just changing. He was going slower, slower, and then slower to walk. But location means everything.
Tony Eusebio gets the nod behind the dish tonight. He hits that one foul and out of play. He came in the game last night for the injured Paul Bacco and delivered 2 hits. Drove in 2 runs. He had a bases-loaded walk. He's hitting .282 with 4 homers and 27 runs batted in. Bacco, by the way, is fine last night. He had a slightly strained right knee in last night's game, but he could play if the Astros wanted him to. Eusebio has hit .444 in his last 13 starts. Out into left center field, Gant giving chase. It is bouncing by him and to the wall. Eusebio heads in for a double. That's his 13th of the year and hit number 2 for the Astros.
Well, Bird definitely didn't want to get that pitch there, and being a right-handed hitter, Gant thought he had a chance to catch it, but that ball started tailing away from him just enough to get in there. You see the action on that ball going back towards the center fielder Glanville, and that enabled him to get into second. Let's see if Bird now is careful with Gutierrez with Reynolds. Up next.
Strike 1 on a fastball over the outside edge. Ricky has been hot lately. .279 his current average. 1 homer and 22 runs batted in. He's 8 for 16 on this homestand. Had 2 hits and 2 runs batted in last night. This one goes toward Gant in left center, and he reaches, and no baseball. It's by him. Eusebio scores. Gutierrez checks in at second, and it's 1-0 Houston. Ron Gant fooled by that drive to left center, and Gutierrez hit it well. It's his 6th double of the year and RBI number 23.
Well, we've talked so much about the fact that we got young players trying to play the outfield. Here's a veteran that still struggles a little bit playing it, and that's Ron Gant. He didn't go back on this in a hurry. He just kind of, right now he's just kind of loping back, and then all of a sudden he realizes he doesn't have enough. That ball just had a little extra juice on it, and Gant really misplayed that.
Back-to-back doubles by Eusebio and Gutierrez get the Astros a run.
That's what kills you, boy. That ball should have been caught.
Shane Reynolds gets a chance to bat with Gutierrez at second and 1 out. Shane has 9 base hits for a 148 average. Fastball up, ball 1 to him. He also has 14 sacrifice bunts. Craig Biggio on deck. Shane with a dozen runs batted in. Mike Hampton got his 19th hit last night. He's driven in 9.
You know, Brownie, you really come to appreciate Ricky Gutierrez when he's gone for a while. Those 2 injuries he had earlier in the year really left the bottom of the order weakened. And once he gets that bat going, though, he really makes the Astros strong at the bottom, he and Tony Eusebio.
2 balls and a strike. He really does. And that gives the Astros that consistency in their attack. Pitchers have been getting their base hits here and there, and Craig Biggio drives in runs. The number 8 man, when Gutierrez is doing what he's doing, can score some runs. Reynolds unloads a line drive, and lefties welcomes a 2-run homer for Shane Reynolds. 3rd home run by an Astros pitcher this year. Sean Bergman hit the first 2, and the Astros have a 3-0 lead. Shane Reynolds going deep. What a thrill for a pitcher.
Boy, did he jump on this. You know, we were talking about this before the game. Most of his power is from the left side. He's a pretty good left-hander. Look at it happen. Don't you love it? All these guys, they have their own little fraternity, you know. They hit before the game, before any of the regular team does, and they have little contests where they hit the long ball. And we are blessed here in Houston with having some great athletes who also hit in that number 9 spot. Boy, he hit that hard.
He nailed it. That's his 3rd career homer, first of this year. And quickly, it's 3-0 on 3 consecutive extra base hits. There's strike one to Craig Biggio. Runs batted in for Shane this year. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Man, some kind of power, huh? That'll teach you to hang on to a pitcher.
Do what to do with it. Biggio tries to bunt.
Well, he had everybody playing in the outfield. He'd have beat that one out easy. Watch him jump on this high pitch. It's up and in. You see the target's down and away. Oh, boy, he was laying for it. And it was in a perfect spot, too, in the outfield. It didn't bang off that scoreboard. He got it in lefty's pub. Now, when I was talking about power at the bottom of the lineup a second ago, I really wasn't including the pitcher, but I guess we can put him in there now.
You can now. His last homer came in September of '96 against Colorado. His first one earlier that year at Cincinnati on Park, Portugal. Biggio to left. Gant waiting. 2 outs.
It's another quadruple header of college football this Saturday, and here's the lineup for you. And hey, if you haven't had a chance to see Heisman candidate Ron Dane, then don't miss the Wisconsin-Cincinnati matchup at 2:15. It all begins at 11 here on Fox Sports Net.
Bill Spires might check him out. He's a former football player. Bill got a single to left field on a line in the first inning. The Astros back on the beam with a home run ball. They missed one last night. They had set a club record with 14 games in a row of hitting at least 1 homer. They had 22 homers in those 14 games. Now they get number 8 of the year against the Philadelphia Phillies. Mike Houston. Changeup misses, and it's another ball to Bill Spires for a 2-0 count. In Cincinnati, it's still 1-1. The Reds are batting in the bottom of the 6th against the Cubs. Kyle Farnsworth against Pete Harnish. 2-1. This has been a September unlike any other we can remember, with the 2 hot races in the NL East and the NL Central, Bill.
Yeah, it's really exciting. And in fact, there are races everywhere.
Yep.
Over on the other side now, they're starting to be some pretty good races in the American League.
Yes, there are. Center fielder Glanville cruising over to his right to catch the Spires fly ball. And Shane Reynolds, 3rd career homer, makes it a 3-run inning for the Astros. 3 runs on 3 hits and a 3-0 lead.
Like the Astros. Brownie, you want to take that?
Take a shot at it, Bill, as we go here to the 3rd inning with Desi Relaford batting. Well, minor leaguers, after they've been in a team's minor league system, generally after 3 years, a decision has to be made whether to put them on the 40-man roster and protect them from other teams or not to protect them. Glenn Barker was left off the 40-man roster by Detroit last winter, and that made him eligible for what we call the Rule 5 draft. There's strike one to Desi Relaford, just returning to the lineup after being out since mid-June with a wrist injury which required surgery. Detroit did not protect Barker, and the Astros picked him up in the Rule 5 draft. Biggio in. Tricky little play to get Relaford for out number 1. So the Astros, by taking Barker, had to keep him on the Major League roster all season long or offer him back to Detroit rather than being able to send him down to the minors. And, of course, they've chosen to keep him, and he's been a very valuable contributor to the Astros. But that's how you can lose talented players from your farm system, by failing to protect them on the 40-man roster over the winter. You get 3 years, though, before you have to protect the player. Paul Bird takes ball 1.
And you can email your questions or comments to FlashNet's website at www.flash.net. If we read your question, you become eligible to win a FlashNet fan prize package. So thank you, Meredith.
Thanks, Meredith. Paul Bird takes the ball. Now, that's the easy way, but sometimes you get an additional 4th year before you have to protect that player. We're just going to try to simplify it for now.
Well, Meredith will have to send another question back in.
Yeah, very good. And the Astros have made a lot of valuable acquisitions through that Rule 5 draft over the years. 3-0 to Paul Bird after Shane Reynolds homered off the pitcher. He falls behind him, 3-0. Jose Lima came in a trade from Detroit. 3 balls and a strike. Glenn Barker in the Rule 5 from Detroit. Various means of acquiring players, and the Astros have used all those means in putting this fine club together with 90 wins to this point. Bounce up the middle. Biggio has room to get in front of it and throws out a hustling Paul Burrett for out number 2. It's really fascinating to trace how various teams were put together. In the case of Paul Burrett, he was acquired from the Atlanta Braves, and he was picked up on waivers. And he has proven to be a very valuable addition to this Philadelphia starting rotation with 14 wins this year after winning 5 last year.
Cesar Geronimo, for one, was a Rule 5 free agent, and Xavier Hernandez.
Eric Yelding. The Astros have tapped several of those players from the Rule 5 over the years who have really helped them out. Doug Glanville, the batter, he flied to center. Jerry Hunsaker was the man with a watchful eye regarding the acquisition of Glenn Barker. Strike call, 0-1, and ironically, Detroit also took a player from the Houston roster, Alberto Blanco, left-handed pitcher. The Astros left him off the 40-man roster, did not protect him, and he was taken by Detroit last winter.
Just exchanged it.
That's the way it looked, yeah, on paper anyway. No balls and 2 strikes. But definitely it's a way that an organization can pick up players from other clubs' fertile minor league systems.
Yeah, and you have a way to scout them, too.
Absolutely.
You get a chance to look at them over a period of years and say, hey, I think that guy would fit into our system better than theirs. You know, there's some advantages to it. Of course, the disadvantage, I guess, would be that you would have to keep him on the roster, so he would have to help you somewhere down the line, but Barker certainly helped.
Oh, absolutely. No balls and 2 strikes to Glanville. Shane snapped a 4-game losing streak. It's 1 ball and 2 strikes, beating the Phillies after that strong start in Montreal. Frustrating game for him in Montreal because he had a 2-0 lead after 7. And he came out when he strained the left knee on a pickoff play at second base. And the Astros let that lead get away. Good split finger, gets him his 2nd strikeout of the night. He's retired 8 in a row, and it's 3-0 Houston in the 3rd.
Thanks a lot, Bill. The Cubs and the Reds, a big story. It's 1-1 in the bottom of the 6th. The Cubs came back after an early Barry Larkin home run on Lance Johnson single, scoring Jose Nieves. The game is in the bottom of the 6th. It is tied at 1-1.
Thanks very much, Greg. And there's Paul Burrett throwing strike 1 call to Jeff Bagwell, who was hit by a pitch in the 1st inning. Earl Everett, Ken Caminiti to follow Bags, who's reached 40 homers for the 2nd time in his career. No balls and 2 strikes. That is something special for a Houston hitter playing half his games in the Astrodome. 43 homers his high. That's a very good shot at establishing a new club record here in '99. Breaking ball moves outside, and it's 1-2 to Jeff. Jeff has scored 473 runs the last 4 years. Fastball fouled away. He really has not had a good September at all. August was a slowdown month for him, and yet with the activity around him in the batting order, things have been very good for the Houston offense. So if he breaks out again, I think other teams are going to be in a lot of trouble here, Bill.
Yeah. They are starting now. You know, they've been pitching around him, but with Everett hitting so well and Caminiti behind him, it's almost now they have to start pitching to him, especially in tight situations, and that should get him going again. You'll see better pitches now.
That's right. There's the swift breaking ball, and it gets him. One plate umpire calls it.
I thought he said,
well, maybe he didn't.
No,
he called a ball.
What he did was he motioned with his arm down the first baseline, and Marvin Hudson gave the safe sign.
Okay, so it's 3-2. Way upstairs, ball 4. 131 walks for Jeff Bagwell.
You walk as many times as Bagwell, you can keep it over 300 even when you slump. Wednesday, September the 29th, the Astros and the Reds will play big game at 7:05, and the first 15,000 adults, and that's 21 and over, will get Astros pint glasses from Miller Lite. So call 713-6-ASTROS.
The Astros are set up to pitch Lima and Hampton in those two games, the Tuesday and Wednesday night games with the Reds. By the way, the Reds failed to score in the bottom of the sixth. 1-1 Chicago and Cincinnati after 6. Carl Everett lines one to a huge gap in left center field. Ron Gant unable to cut it off. Bagwell coming hard around third. Everett checking in at second, and it's 4-0 Houston. Carl Everett gets RBI number 100.
He's a machine.
30 doubles for Carl, and a special time for him. 100 RBIs for the first time in his career.
He's an absolute machine. And again, I go back to why you better start pitching to Bagwell now. I don't know why they're pitching around him, because anything you throw to this guy now is a base hit. Bagwell had the play in front of him so he could see it going to the wall, so he was off and running. There was no holding him back.
Ken Caminetti follows with strike one call. He bounced into a double play. Carl's RBI high was set last year, 76. He just continues to improve.
That's with over a month off.
Yeah. Cammy fouls it. No balls, 2 strikes. Cammy said his elbow is feeling much better now. That had been a problem for him. He's really been cutting loose on his throws from third base. Made a strong throw on the run last night in the 6th inning to get Rico Brogna. And he's just looking better and better. He's gone through that sort of spring training phase. He was out about half the year. He was sore all over for a while. Chop for Bird over near the first base line. He tags Caminetti for out number 1, but Everett advances to third, and that's fine with the Astros. Darrell Ward will be next.
Cammy's got to be a little frustrated because he's had a couple of good pitches to hit. The first one he hit hard, he hit right into a double play on a nice turn by Marlon Anderson at second base. That one at least was it. I think that's Lauer down there warming up, isn't it?
It is. The right-hander Carlton Lower warming up. The infield comes in now for Darrell Ward. Ward struck out in the 2nd inning on an off-speed pitch. Fastball, strike, call. Tom McCraw talking tonight before the game about how comfortable Darrell Ward is getting and how much more comfortable he will be with more and more looks at the various pitchers around the National League. This is the 2nd game in which he has faced Paul Bird. Went 2 for 3 in the first one.
The importance of repetition, Bill. That's what Mac was hitting on. The fact that these young hitters, there it is, the ball comes back.
Good play by Jordan.
Yeah, he didn't give up on it. You know, a lot of times you have to know the hitters. Of course, left-handed, the spin of the ball on a foul ball will bring it back to the field of play. So Jordan, knowing that, did not give up on it, went all the way to the fence and then played it back.
Well, that's the way they're taught to do it. Go to the barrier first and locate that and then adjust to it. Tony Eusebio doubled first time up. There's ball 1. Colorado leads at home over the Mets 3-0, top of the 3rd. Jamie Wright has the lead against Octavio Dotel. Mets are being pressured for the wild card by the Reds. Eusebio whacks one to left. Ron Gant in and up for the catch.
He almost came in too far for that.
Yeah. Milo Hamilton joins Bill in a moment for the middle innings here. It's 1 run, 1 hit, 1 left for the Astros in the 3rd. 4-0 Houston after 3.
Tonight's Dodge standings, and again, this is what's going on here tonight. Atlanta, Houston, Arizona leading their divisions. New York leading that wild card race by 2.5 over Cincinnati. And right now in the top of the 7th inning in Cincinnati, the Cubs have scored a run. They're still at the plate. So it's 2-1 Chicago in the top of the 7th. And the Astros, of course, hoping the Cubs can hold on here as Ron Gant steps in to start off the 4th. And here to take us through the middle innings, Milo Hamilton.
Well, I tell you, Gant's become an adventure in left field, hasn't he?
He put a little excitement in that fly ball. But he can hit.
Yep. Had 3 hits in this series, 2 opposite field doubles last night, and hit a ball through the right side of the infield tonight for a single. That's not the old pull the ball all the time Gant we knew when he was in his heyday. So Gant leads it off. Abreu's on deck, then it'll be Lieberthal. Shane Reynolds has helped his own cause tonight with a line drive homer right down the left field line into lefty's pub. Put a wrinkle in it there, and it is now a ball and 2 strikes. We have a flash on Rodriguez, don't we, Boots? Or maybe you already gave it before I came over. 1-2. Bounce foul down the left side.
What, he hit number 34?
Yeah, that's in the realm of something big in the American League for a catcher, I believe.
Well, he's having those MVP numbers, isn't he?
Oh, he certainly is. And even deeper than MVP, as young as he is and the way he's doing it with those great years ahead of him, he got Cooperstown stamped all over him.
Oh, yeah. That ties the record now in the American League.
Chopper fouled on the third base side. Third base coach John Vukovich with those good hands. Shane out in front here, 4-0. There's an item in his auction in that Shane Reynolds Enron Golf Classic for epilepsy on the 27th. It might be something that Bill Orrell would want for his memory bank. An autographed team ball from the 65 team and the 99 team. Fly ball left. Ward will come in. 8, 9, 10 steps. 1 away in the 4th.
Here's tonight's Aflac trivia question, so warm up your memory bank, Milo. Who hit the only home run in the 1980 NLCS between the Phillies and the Astros?
Well, will they at least tell us which team?
I'll imagine it was the Astros. They didn't hit a lot of home runs that year.
It's probably a trick question.
That was a heck of a series, too.
It got intense, didn't it?
Yeah, it was only topped, I guess, by the Mets in '86. But remember my old buddy Keith Moreland was playing for the Phillies then. He was a catcher, and he said it was one of the best he ever played in.
You play in his golf tournament up in Austin?
No, he hasn't invited me yet.
Oh, well, we just put the bug in his ear.
Okay. He knows my number. He's probably got too many players.
0-2 to Abreu. He bounced his short first time up.
I do want to head to Austin Thursday night, though. You know what's happening there Thursday night, don't you? Kevin Costner's coming to Austin.
Ooh.
They're going to have the Texas premiere of his new movie, For the Love of the Game.
Hey, in the clips that I saw, he pitched somewhere. That's too good to be an act. There's a slice liner that's going to split left center. And look at Abreu. He may try for 3. He leads the league in triples, and he just got another one. You know, he had triple on his mind when he rounded first because he was in high gear when he got the second.
Boy, he's a good-looking player, isn't he? This guy's going to be playing right field for the Phillies for many, many years. He can run. He's got all the tools. Great outfielder, good arm, runs with speed, hits for power. He's that 5-tool player you always talk about.
And the question that arises, why did we let him go? Because we judged that Hidalgo was ahead of him, that's why. And not just on ability, but temperament, attitude, work ethic. In fact, we probably did him the biggest favor of his life. It was a wake-up call. There's a chopper down the left side.
And there was a lot of talent in the outfield at the time that decision was made, so... You know, you miss on some of them. You make some great moves. You also miss on a few.
Well, if he'd have shown the same intensity here that he has as a Philly, he'd still be here.
He's going to be around a long time.
Oh, yeah. It wasn't the ability that we questioned. It was how bad did he want it. No balls, 1 strike. Cracked that bouncer. Cammy Look the runner back. Abreu had started home, but Cammy throws him.
Well, had Abreu kept coming, he would have been a dead duck at home plate. So he wisely stopped, and Cammy still had plenty of time to make the throw over.
Had the luxury of a catcher running. Cracked bat bouncer, and of course that Cammy stare will freeze you, you know.
If he hits it to short, they're going to allow the run to score. He just hit it to the wrong spot.
Cammy could he could stare a hole through an iron fence, this guy. He got piercing peepers. Bouncer, Cammy will close that hole and fire, and the side has been retired. 2 more ground ball outs for Shane, and that's 6 of them. So far, so good. On Fox, Astros lead 4-0.
The Bull, Greg Luzinski. And he hated to hit in the dome.
Boy, he hit some tape measures at the vet. He wore out that place. First pitch to Goody, a ball. Next one a strike called. Gutierrez keeps on with a hot bat. It's up to 283 now. Doubled in a run and scored a run in the second. 2 balls and a strike. We would like to say hi to 11-year-old Becky Brazil. Big swing comes up empty. She watches us all the time, and she's a big fan. She's recovering from a ruptured appendix. She's doing well after being in critical condition, so keep getting better, Becky Brazil. Thanks for watching. There's a bouncer short. Will there be a play left? Don't think so. Such a dive to go toward that hole and close it. The momentum just took him away from any kind of a throw.
That was a heck of a play by Desi Relaford just to get to the ball.
In another circumstance, it would have saved a run.
Yep. Now here comes the big slugger. Here comes your power source.
Being called upon to do the thing that he does better than anybody in the league, sacrifice. He's got 14 of them.
Yeah, but he says, come on, Dirk. He says, I'm a home run hitter. You got me up here bunting.
That's why this team is a team.
There's no I in team. Did you say that?
Not originally. There's a bunt that... And Bird couldn't find a handle. Threw the ball into the right field bullpen. Goody's coming to third. He'll stop there. Paul Bird wishes they played the national anthem all over again.
Well, they're going to give Shane a hit and then score an error on the pitcher, Paul Bird, on the throw.
They scored a sack, though. Sack E1. Because if he comes up with a clean, he'd have thrown him out at first.
Well, that's it. Sacrifice E1. Now, he's got a whole... You got to eat the ball right here. He got no chance. All right, we're having another ruling here. Well, I told you it was going to be a hit and an error.
Well, you son of a gun.
See, I'm the only guy out here who can read Jay Fred's mind.
Well, then the error allows Goody to get to third.
Yep, exactly. Well, when things are going bad for you, they go really bad. He apparently took his eye off that bunt just enough. See if he might have a chance to throw out the runner at second, and when he did, it went right over his glove.
With the top of the order, you got a really chance to throw a knockout punch here. And a strike to Biggio's, flied to right and flied to left. The error is the first in the game tonight. It's the third in the series for the Phillies. And in the last 6 games we played these guys, they do not look like a club that's been second and third in the league in defense. Anything but. fact, they dropped down to 5th now in the last week.
There's a little flare into right center. It'll drop. It'll score only one because you had to wait to see if maybe Glanville could come across and get it. Gutierrez scores. It's 5-0.
Well, Glanville was playing awfully deep, and Biggio was able to get it in, but the ball hung in the air for so long that Gutierrez tagged up because he could walk in anyway, and Shane had to come only halfway because Goody was tagging up. And we're going to have a pitching change, and really Paul Byrd made only about 3 mistakes, but they were 3 big ones.
Well, it's a pitching change. And we'll be back. It's a Pizza Hut pitching change. We'll be back in a moment.
On the corners, nobody out. Lefty against lefty. Brewer, the new pitcher, and a breaking ball outside to Spires, who's 1 for 2 tonight.
Only been in 17 games, Bill.
Yeah, look at the 8.10 ERA league, hitting .324 against the little lefty and out of Fort Worth, Texas.
We lit him up over there last week. Him almost got him on the lead elbow. You know, I had an explanation for that Bird first inning when he hit 2 batters. You put Sonny Cadmus and Pete Kokonos on the same mound before a game, the mound may not be ready to be pitched upon. I'm kidding, Sonny and Pete.
Here's a base hit off a lefty and a run's in. That's the way to solve that, lefty, and Spires does a pretty good job of that anyway, Bill.
Yes, he does. Good job of hitting. He doesn't, left-handers don't bother Billy at all, and that ball right out over the plate, he whacks it.
So Shane Reynolds scores again. It's 6-0. Can you imagine the games that between them Sonny Cadmus and Pete Kokonos have seen here?
Thousands. Of course, now,
and they come to spring training every year.
Sonny threw a strike. Pete kind of lobbed his up there.
Well, there's a ball inside.
I think Sonny.
It was a Beaumont splitter that Pete Kokonos threw up there.
Sonny's been practicing.
Well, so is Pete. You see a glove he had, that 1922 glove? Bagwell.
He borrowed it from Tinker's.
And there wasn't even an ever chance of it. Yeah, he brings that glove to spring training all the time, or whenever I go over to Beaumont for an appearance, he brings the glove. Strike call to Jeff, 2-1.
I feel bad for Shelley Tyler. She works over at Fox, and she's an old LSU graduate, and she wanted me to mention that she was watching with all the LSU fans while Paul Byrd was pitching, since he's an LSU grad. But
didn't help her either.
Shelley, I should have done it in the first inning.
Whoa, look out, Cubby. You almost nailed your third base coach, Baggy. Now, I got to get this straight from you, Orel. Are you really going to Austin Thursday night?
Yes, I am. I'm going over there, and, you know, Augie Garrido, the head baseball coach at the University of Texas, was the technical advisor for that movie.
Have you seen it yet?
No, I haven't. And Kevin and Augie have been longtime friends since Augie was the coach at Cal State Fullerton.
Fouled again down the left side. So I'll tell you, he looks like a pitcher in this movie.
Well, you know, it was nice of Texas to loan Augie out for a little while for the movie because he had to go up to New York and they did a lot of scenes. He said that Kevin threw over 500 pitches.
Oh.
His arm was about killing him, and they only used 2 of them in the whole movie. They used all those cutaways. But it's going to be fun, and it's going to be on the Texas campus at the Bass Concert Hall Thursday night, and you can still get tickets to it.
That Kevin's everywhere, isn't he?
Yeah, and you know, he's really a nice guy. He was down here doing Tin Cup, and I got to meet him, but he takes care of his friends, and he's coming down so Augie can raise a little money for the UT baseball program.
Beautiful. Well, Bill Orell's going to be there. Throw back to second, not in time.
Going to be a lot of fun. Going to be Again, at the Bass Concert Hall on the campus of UT. You can call 512-477-6060 for tickets. And it's the opening of For the Love of the Game.
I told you I'd get you to it.
Thank you, sir.
Ready for a payoff to Bags. 2 on, nobody out. Runners are going. It doesn't make any difference. It's ball 4.
Well, this Saturday on Cowboys Weekly, you'll get reactions from the Cowboys' exciting overtime win in Week 1 and the preview of this week's contest against the Atlanta Falcons. Cowboys Weekly, Saturday morning at 10 on Fox Sports Net. What a great comeback for the Cowboys, and now they play the Monday night game against Atlanta next Monday.
Terry Francona, not a happy camper. Boy, this club's gone south on him in the last month. Injury to Rowland, injury to Schilling. It's just magnified. Strike called a Batman. Carl Everett. Hit by a pitch in the first, a ringing double to left center in the third to drive in the Astros' 4th run. If he gets a hit here, he can sing Goodnight Irene. Tapper third, going to second. That's the only play. Another run scored. Biggio's home with run number 7.
Boy, Spires thought he was going to get decapitated on that one. That throw from third baseman Kevin Jordan. Here's the right off the end of the bat. Watch him throw, and Spires had to get out. Good job by Bagwell taking out the second baseman.
So Everett started on his 2nd century of RBIs. You can close the book on Bird. 7 runs. Boy, the misplay on Reynolds' bunt in this inning opened a can of worms.
That's what happens, you know, the opportunistic teams. The Astros are playing awfully well. Every mistake that you make, the Astros make you pay, and that's the way it is. That's the difference between the winners and the losers.
And don't you think the score hasn't gone up at Cincinnati? Caminetti looks at ball 2. Hit into a double play in the first. Here's another thing about the way this club's picking each other up the last 2 weeks, too, Bill. We had a chance to bust it open in the first. They got a double play off the bat of Cammy. You come right back in the second and score 3. With the bottom of your order, I might add, which has been a big feature of this winning streak. Fouled up here to the right, 2-1. When the big guys at the top are getting paid to do it, haven't been delivering, well, the bottom of the order has, led by Gutierrez.
Well, it's got to be a team game because it's just too hard. They pitch to you differently when you're in the middle of that lineup. You're getting the headlines. You get tougher pitches to hit. Somebody's got to pick you up.
Took something off of that pitch, 2-2. That little screwed you.
Yeah, screwball. Looked awfully good. Brewer missed nearly all of last year with a surgery to repair the ulnar nerve in his elbow. And that's going to take a little time to come back.
I don't think you can come back from that in a year, Bill.
It's tough. You, of course, can't be a power pitcher. So it takes you almost a whole year to build up your arm strength again.
Called it out toward the mound. It's 2-2. Caminetti is 0 for 5 in this series. Drove in a run last night with a sacrifice fly. Right-handed better this year, average-wise, but more left-handed with the power numbers.
That's just about the same, I think, for Everett, too. Everett hits pretty well from the right side, but not with the type of power he does from the left.
Runners on the corners, 1 out. Looping fly ball down the right side, slicing foul down toward our bullpen.
You know, it's a real dilemma now for a team. If you throw a left-hander with Biggio, Bagwell, the good right-handed hitting, they're going to hurt you. And now if you throw a tough right-hander, it used to hurt the Astros. But I think now with Everett and Caminetti healthy and back around from the left side,
and Spires being in the lineup every day,
and Ward and improving young Darrell Ward, now you might be better to go back to a left-hander.
2-2. Ball 3. And I think Javier Durker told me on his show tonight that he thinks Javi's close to coming back, probably the weekend in St. Louis. That's another switch hitter for you.
Yep.
And Baco didn't want to come out of that game last night. He says he could have played that game and wanted to play tonight, but they just didn't want to take a chance. He says he's fine. Runner first going. Line. Fair ball. Into the right field corner. 1 run. And Everett's going to be held. It's a double for Caminetti down the right side. An RBI for him. It's an 8-0 game. And the Astros keep tagging it on as Fires scored run number 8.
Boy, how about this for some hitting, huh? He fouled off some very tough pitches. Then Brewer threw him what I'm sure Brewer thought was a perfect pitch. Watch the location here. Outside and away. Maybe got it up a little too high. But, boy, Caminetti didn't try to pull it. He went right with it.
Now Darrell Ward, a lefty. That ball ricocheted down into that corner, and a fan almost reached down and got it. The ball to Ward. Ward tonight has struck out swinging, popped up to Jordan, the third baseman, made a good play, stayed with a pop-up, did the old rule, go over to that box seat railing and wait if the spin will bring it back for you, and it did. Two balls, no strike. Wrap up the homestand and with the Phillies for another year here tomorrow night. Then we go on a long road trip. So you'd like to keep putting something in the bank at home. And a strike. Scott Ellerton pitches tomorrow night. Then when we get to St. Louis, it's Lima, Hampton, and Holt who paid a dividend here in this homestand. Brewer's a lefty already. He's got that hat on, cockeyed. Here's a shot up the middle. 2 more runs are in as another left-hander hurts Brewer. 10-0 Astros.
Now here's a scary thought, Milo. Left-handers have trouble with Ward, too. You know, I was talking to Mac about him before the game tonight. He says the great thing about young Darrell Ward, he's such an improving hitter. He's improving so rapidly that it's hard to keep a book on him, and that he's just as tough on left-handed pitching. See, this is a breaking pitch, but it's out over the plate. He hangs in there nicely. Boy, you talk about a young power hitter who can hit left-handed and right-handed pitching.
Let me tell you something. You hit on the salient point how he's improved. But if he will dedicate himself over the winter to getting in better shape, and he knows it, it'll take some dedication, as Terry Francona is going to was stopping with the umpire. He's probably going to make a double switch here. And you could envision him as being a little livelier and could be a little more active and left, and he's going to be something to be reckoned with.
Yep, no doubt about it. Well, we're going to have another pitching change. The Astros putting this one away early tonight, 10-0. We'll be back with more in a moment.
Double switch. Bronya left, and insert the pitcher Carlton Lower in the 5 spot. Here's another high ERA. They're 12th in the league in earned run average. Strike call to Tony. Tony's had a double, a run scored, and a fly out to left. Tony's had 6 hits in his last 12 at-bats now in a mini 4-game hitting streak. 1 ball, 1 strike. Astros about hit him 11-2, lead 10-0. Good changeup by Lower. One ball and 2 strikes. Two and 2. Philly pitchers all look alike to these Houston bats.
Well, this young guy from Lafayette, Louisiana, lives in Eunice.
High chopper. Third baseman will go to second. Fire to first with Tony running. And that's a double play ball. 10 men back. 6 of them score. Look at that on Fox. 10-0 Houston. But it hasn't qualified for a win, you know. Sometimes the 5th inning is the toughest inning, no matter what the score is. Shane ready to work to the third baseman, Kevin Jordan. He bounced out to Biggio in the 2nd inning. Jordan's done a nice job filling in for Roland, but he just doesn't have the scare factor because Roland's capable of knocking the ball out of the park a lot. Roland's hitting .305, but he doesn't play much long ball. 2-0. Shane just throws strikes. You got 9 guys out there with gloves.
That's what he does best. He doesn't walk very many.
Got about a 6.5 to 1 ratio. Fewest walks for 9 innings in the league. In the top 10 in strikeouts. 2 balls and a strike to Jordan. He'll be followed by Anderson and then Rutherford. Hit him right in the fist, and he fouled it down the left side. 2-2.
How'd he hit it? Man.
Self-defense, I guess. They're going to the 9th at Cincy. Look where this ball is.
Man, I'm telling you. They hit him right in the letters. He missed it.
You know what his hands feel like right now? Like they got stung by a bee on each hand. There it is. Rodriguez homer has him on top. Now, if we can just get away from that old voodoo sign that we saw so much in August of those Reds comebacks. Well, they had enough of them, didn't they? 8th and 9th innings. There they are in the 9th. Cubs leading 2-1. Fly ball right. Spires will be right in the spot as he comes to his left. Fell behind Jordan, but came back and got him.
You know better than anybody. You got to have a little magic. Any year that you win a division title and go into the playoffs, and you got to have a lot of magic when you go on to the World Series and win one. So,
did any club that you've been around here have any more magic than that Hal and Air 86 club?
No, and those teams right there won a lot of late inning games that you see up there on the board. So that's how Cincy stayed right up with Houston. And the Astros, with all their injuries, having quite a year.
There's a leaping leanup through the right side off the bat of Marlon Anderson. He's just a good-looking young hitter. He's now hit safely in 10 of his last 12 games, and he's hitting about .360 over that span.
I think this is a team, and I really mean this, if Philadelphia gets a little pitching in the offseason, they don't have to make a lot of changes. Just a little bit of pitching, and they're going to be awfully tough next year.
Well, they were tough until about 5 weeks ago with this aggregation. Good manager, too. Splitter for an opener to Rutherford. Rutherford bounced to Biggio in the 3rd. That hit by Anderson, only the 3rd off Shane Reynolds. Rutherford's missed about 100 of their games. Just got back on the active list yesterday. Switch hitter. 2 straight splitters. He's probably saying, you realize that's not fair to throw those kind of pitches to a guy that's been on the mend?
Yeah, I hadn't seen live pitching in a while, and you got to load up for that fastball, and here it comes.
0-2. Shane out in front 10-0, and he helped himself with a 2-run homer. play. Cammy takes a look, knows it's going to be up above their dugout about 5-6 rows. Oakland taking a body blow tonight, not just with the score, but how important every game is now for them. They're losing at Baltimore 11-5 in the 6th. Anaheim won the first of 2 at Kansas City, 8-6. Well, he just went bread and butter on him.
Didn't see much of anything except the split finger. That's the 3rd strikeout for Shane. Here's tonight's Geico Direct moment. And a quote from Mike Hampton: "I'll trade the Cy Young for the World Series MVP." And he's serious, folks.
Now, if you can just get the team that has that MVP to trade him. It's a lot easier for a pitcher to be an MVP in the series than it is for the year. I hear all these talk shows throwing around all these names and throwing in pitchers. I say that the Cy Young is the MVP for the pitchers, and that the MVP belongs to the position players. The guy plays every day and puts up numbers, then he's the legitimate MVP.
But think about this for a moment. If the Astros, with all the injuries the Astros have had, they're still in first place because none of the injuries happened to their key frontline pitchers. So if you know, even though that man right there is having an MVP season, fortunately, Hampton and Everett's having a great season too. Fortunately, Hampton, Lima, and Shane have been healthy. So those 3 right there have been MVPs as far as the Astros are concerned.
Torey Lovullo batting for the first time tonight. And he's gone looking. That came back in over the inside corner at the knees. 1 hit, 1 left. Middle of the 5th, halfway through this one on Fox Sports Net Southwest. Shane is dancing. It's 10-0. Another game in this winning streak with the Astros. 1-0 to Goody. 2 hits tonight for Ricky and 2 runs scored, and he's driven in a run. Oh, what he's given you out of that 8th spot, unbelievable. Baltimore just put up a 7. Oh, it was in the last inning, actually. There's a swing and a foul, and they're leading Oakland 11-5. Stairs at number 35, and Ripken. Is he going to give him a chance for 3,000?
He's coming on strong.
Oh, you know, that DL, he'd have been there now, I think, without that DL. 2-2 to Goody. 18 homers for Ripken, and he's missed a lot of games this year. Foul down the right side, out of play, up above our bullpen.
Nieves just hit a big 2-run double for Chicago in the top of the 9th inning. And it's now 4-1 Chicago.
I'll take your word for it.
I wouldn't lie to you about something
I know you
that
wouldn't.
important.
Boston is on the road in Cleveland, and they're leading the Tribe 9-3. So they're getting a dividend out of Martinez, and not... That's the Martinez used to be with the Dodgers and been out for a couple of years. They pounded lumps on Doc Gooden tonight. Tomey has hit his 29th homer. Seattle leading Tampa Bay 5-1. That looks like that should be a final now, and it is. Griffey hit his 35th for the winning Mariners. Toronto giving the Yankees fits again, leading 6-1 going to the 8th. And a ball to Goody. Perfect night going. Double, single, walk.
Everybody throughout the Astros lineup having good at-bats. Fouling off a lot of tough pitches. And then Shane Reynolds got that hanging fastball by Paul Bird for a 2-run homer. Then laid down a bunt that went over the glove of Bird. And Bird threw it away. So Shane's having a very big night.
Well, that line drive homer of his got out of here in a hurry, I want to tell you.
Yes, it did.
I'll tell you, it's spread him out and around down in Lefty's glove. Fouled up to the right. Green hit his 39th boots for the Jays. Detroit leading the White Sox 4-0. Garcia hit his 11th for Detroit. Nitkowski with that lead of the C.J. Nitkowskis. He's getting some starts lately. Shane Reynolds with a 1-2 count. Fly ball, center playable. Glanville back and has it. 1 away.
Well, the chase is on, as you know. The Reds continue to pursue the Astros in the Central Division. Sammy Sosa looking to surpass Mark McGwire's home run mark of a year ago. This week, our Baseball Thursday game checks out both races from Synergy Field. That's the Reds and Cubs, Thursday at 6 on Fox Sports Net.
And the crowd just responded when that 4 went up for the Cubs. 2 in the 9th to increase the lead to 4-1. And Carlos Hernandez going to bat for Biggio. Inside a ball. Continuing on the Boudreaux board, Texas, Minnesota 2-2. Rodriguez hit his 34th. Talked to you about that earlier. Foul down the right side. New York and Colorado. Boy, every game big for those Mets in Colorado. Spoiling Bobby Valentine's night. Colorado leading 6-0 there in the bottom of the 5th in Denver. Dotel got shellacked. Little dribbler toward the mound. Throw to first, 2 down. Going to second, Gutierrez. So Hernandez, a little dribbler halfway to the mound. This is Fires. Had a pair of hits, driven in a run, and scored a run. Lance Berkman is on deck. So looks like he would stay in if he bats for Bagwell, play first base. Or would you put him in the outfield since he's been playing a lot of that and put Ward at first?
I think that's probably what they'll do. Move Warren over to first base, Berkman in left, and Larry now with a chance to rest a couple of guys that haven't had very much rest, Biggio and Bagwell. Give them the rest of the night off.
Bench coach Galante with skipper Durker. No strikes to Spires. Astros batted around in the 4th, scored 6 times, and lead here 10-0. Gutierrez at second. There's a foul over to the right, and it's 2-1 to Spires. Milwaukee at St. Louis. They're tied a run apiece, and they're in the 6th inning at Busch. Pittsburgh just started at Arizona. Pirates fail in the 1st. Arizona now batting. You've got Cordova against Anderson in that game. Atlanta will be in San Diego. Millwood after his 17th against Carlisle. Outside, 3-1 to Spires. Florida will be at the Stick. Dempster against Estes. The Dodgers will host Montreal. Vasquez against Kevin Brown, who shoots for his 17th. And that's a complete look at the Phil Boudreaux board. And that's a walk. Second walk by Lower.
Lance Berkman being announced.
Oh, it's amazing. You gave those scores over the American League. If those leads hold up tonight, the Red Sox will cut the Yankees lead to only 2.5 games. Man. A couple of weeks ago, it looked like that race was over. Yeah, I think the Yankees are starting to feel it a little bit. They lose tonight, that's 5 in a row, isn't it? Pitch to Berkman, batting .221 against the league. Roger's been struggling a little bit, and that's really hurt him. Two on, 2 out. A ball, 2-0. Astros put up a 3 in the second, added 1 in the third, but the big 6 in the fourth. Oh, that jumps right out at you. The Reds are batting in the ninth, trailing the Cubs 4-1. High pop, shallow left. Gant on, and Gant will put it away. Side retired. We've played through 5. It's 10-0 on Fox. Astros.
Softball and T-ball teams. Tell us why your team should be the Pizza Hut team of the month. And you could go to the Astrodome to see the Astros plus win a Pizza Hut team party. Look for the winning teams every month during Fox Sports Net Southwest Astros telecasts.
Lance Berkman stays in the game, goes to left field. Ward moves from left field to first base. And Hernandez is your new second baseman. Those are the changes behind Shane Reynolds as he leads 10-0. Telemaco is throwing in the Philly bullpen. Two-run homer, and it's now a 1-run game. The Cub bullpen that the Astros rattled is being rattled again. Ball center, Everett back. Is he going to be there? Yeah! No! Had it and dropped it. And Glanville's going to end up at third. Got some weather on it, but couldn't wrap it around it. That ball was hit hard.
It was hit so hard it kind of bended back over the shoulder. And we'll take another look at it here. Boy, he got a lot of that baseball. The dead center field, it kind of turned him around a little bit. Never thought he had it. Didn't quite. Got right on the heel of his glove.
Leather, but no pocket. The triple, here's Gant. 1 for 2. Flied to left in the fourth. Gant in the 2 nights here is now 3 for 6. Only a .254 average, but showing the power again. 16 homers. Tight a ball, 2-0. The Cubs got in there, Adams. Drive hit left, and the shutout is gone. 10-1. Ron Gant, 2 of his favorite targets 2 nights in a row, Hampton and Reynolds. He hadn't forgotten the swing against either one of them. So Glanville, after the triple, comes home over the Gant single. That's 5 hits for the Phillies. The Astros about hit them 11-5, lead 10-1. Abreu, he tripled in the fourth. Leads the league with 11 three-baggers. Second best batting average in the league. Needs another stolen base to be the first 20 steal, 20 homer guy for the Phillies since Von Hayes, who had as pretty a picture swing as any lefty, didn't he?
Just a really nice ball player.
Ball and a strike to a 2-1 to Abreu. Blocked in the dirt by Tony, kept it out in front of him. So 2 straight hits have produced a run. There's a runner at first, Ganton, nobody out.
Tell you what, he doesn't have, you see those down low, these blue spots that indicate his cold zone, but he's not too cold down there either. He's become a good hitter no matter where you pitch him.
Count should be 3-1, I believe. It is. We've got it. The scoreboard doesn't. And a strike. That'll make it 3-2. Isn't that right, Boobs?
3-2.
When in doubt, we just look to our right.
Or you can look at the Fox box.
Well, that's because Boudreau is working.
Oh.
3 balls and 2 strikes. That should be ball 4.
No, I don't think he knows it.
Well, and the umpire doesn't have to tell him, right?
Home plate umpire said 3-2. Boots has got 6 pitches down here. That one must have been fouled off. He walked him anyway.
Academic. That's the first walk to go with 4 strikeouts for Shane. Starting to stir in our bullpen a little bit. Not that this game's in jeopardy, but you just want to get somebody ready. And with the big games coming up, you might think about if he can get through this inning, go to your pen, and so Shane would be fresh for his next start. Hampton's only worked 7 innings in his last 2. That's a ball. Shane would figure to open up Monday at Pittsburgh. Top foul down the right side. The first base coach, Brad Mills. Lieberthal has flied to center, bounced to third. Boy, this has been his coming out year, hasn't it, Lieberthal?
Yeah. He's become one of those top 5 or 6 catchers in the league. Dalton's long-time home run record. Got 28 homers. Dalton had that record there at Philadelphia. His handling of pitchers. And
What a
never made an error until the Astros came to town.
He'd gone 100 games without one.
Yeah.
It's over. The Cubs have beaten the Reds 4-3.
It wasn't easy.
You get a scare from that Reds club. Here's a bouncer, short, flip to Hernandez, fire, and double play. Highlights call it first, but they ring it up. Moving to third is Gant. Got a break there with Lieberthal being the runner on the back end.
I want you to watch this little Carlos Hernandez turn this play now. Watch him come across that bag in a hurry. He's a little acrobat. Got a pretty good arm, too. Nice play.
Nice going, Carlos. First double play tonight for the Astros. They're 4th in the series. The Astros, you know, are 2nd in the league in double plays. Now at 166 of them. So Hernandez, the crowd reacting now to the final score. in Cincinnati.
It's kind of a collective sigh of relief. They finally lost a game. I'll tell you what, Chicago, Terry Adams got the first 2 outs. Then Jeffrey Hammond, he gave up a base hit. Hammonds hit a pinch 2-run homer. Then Cameron got on base. They walked Larkin, so they had Dimitri Young at the plate with 2 runners on, a chance to win the game.
And he's been a hero a few times lately.
Yes, he has, and Adams finally got the 3rd out.
Wendell McGee, the pinch hitter. Strike, 1-1. Pinch hitter Wendell McGee. Batting for lower, and it'll probably be Telemaco. If Telemaco was in our club, I'd be calling him Dino. Well, you look down the pen, you say, who is it? Well, that's Amore. Telemaco.
I got it.
Hey, folks, it's 10-1.
Or maybe because they had Desi at shortstop. You know, it's got to be tough for McGee to come off that bench, or any hitter for that matter. If you've seen that split finger for a couple of innings, you get a little better read on it, but well, you got to come up there pinch hitting. Let's see if he'll throw him one here.
Runner third, Gant. 2 down, a run is in. Fouled it off.
Did a pretty good job of getting the bat on it.
Defenses swing all the way, but did slap it foul. So it's up there on the board. Cubs finally gave us an assist. Beat the Reds 4-3. Reds have won 9 out of their last 11 counting tonight. And couldn't pick up any ground, and now will lose a game in all probability. There's a line drive. So he stayed in there and fought off a pitch right there.
It was a good fastball in on the hands, but I don't think Shane, if you ask him after the game, he'll tell you he didn't get it really where he wanted to. I think he wanted to get it a little more in than he did.
Kevin Jordan will be the batter.
That's a pretty good job, though. You see how he got his hands out of the way, got the head of that bat out there on the ball, so that was a good job of hitting by McGee.
Gant trots home with their 2nd run. Houston, 6th inning. Hey, there's a Guinness Book beach ball being carried off in the left field corner. See the size of that? This looks like that's a beach ball that Hakeem would play with. You can make a 10 out of that beach ball.
Trouble letting the air out of it.
Center field, Everett's going to claim it. Lazy fly ball. Jordan's is out. They have to settle for a pair. And in the middle of the 6th on Fox Sports Net Southwest, Houston with a chance to pick up a game. They're leading the Phillies 10-2. Estelle is the new catcher. He just came up the other day. Telemaco is the new pitcher. Everett will be leading off. He's had a hit in 2 trips tonight and driven in 2 more runs. Barker's going to be the pinch hitter here for Everett. Telemaco, another high ERA, although he's 3-0. Down and into Barker. So Barker batting for Everett will stay in the game and play center. Comebacker, Telemaco with a big high reach. There'd be some pitchers that'd have been over.
Yeah. He's a big guy, though. He was able to get up there and make the play. Began the season in Arizona on the disabled list with tendonitis in his shoulder. Pitched pretty well against the Astros in years past. When he was in Chicago, he pitched a gem of a game. And
against us, I think it was his first big league start.
yeah,
he pitched a heck of a game.
1996 at Wrigley Field. Astros got only one hit off of him in 7 innings.
Johnson will pinch hit for Caminetti. So here's two more guys that could well use getting into that clubhouse a little early tonight. Everett and Caminetti in this inning. And come back fresh for tomorrow night. Then you get an off day Thursday. Get another off day a week from Thursday. Then the final week you get a Monday off and a Thursday off. Check swing pop right side. Labulo's going to be there. 2 down.
Tomorrow the Astros will play the Phillies and wrap up this series at 7:05. It'll be Hispanic Heritage Day, and the first 25,000 fans will get Jose Lima posters from Gillette Mach 3. It's Lima time. Call 713-6-ASTROS.
You can get a stiff neck wearing that thing. He got a market on the gold market with that.
If he just keeps winning, he can wear anything he wants to.
A ball and a strike to Ward. He got a nice hit off a lefty in the 4th inning and drove in 2 runs. Little chopper foul left side. 1 and 2. 2 outs in the 6th inning. Ward started the game in left. He's now playing first base. So you're getting the right side of your infield out of there. Biggio and Bagwell. There's a line drive hit. That's going to split him. And McGee got there and held him to a single. That ball looked as hard as it was hitting with the overspin, Bill. I thought that was going to scoot through. Nice job by McGee.
Really was a nice job, but boy, what a hitter this kid is. This Darryl Ward, you know, if you're scouting the Astros now, you got to say, look, having a healthy Everett and Caminetti has really oh, by the way, there's another kid in that lineup we better pitch carefully to, and Darryl Ward, with more at-bats, gets more comfortable. Really got a great-looking stroke.
Eusebio, the batter. Ball 1. Tony's had a double. Fly ball to left on a 5-4-3 double play. He started a 3-run inning in the 2nd with a 2-base hit. 2 balls, no strikes. Was a body blow for the Mets tonight. They're losing 7-0 at Colorado as they go to the 7th inning.
Yeah, they're still in it. There.
Two and 1.
He's really come alive, hasn't he?
Well, and swinging the bat with authority. Line drives.
Like the old Tony.
Foul out of play up here to the right. 2 and 2. Scott Ellerton pitches tomorrow night. When we get to St. Louis, it's set up for Lima Friday night. Mike Hampton Saturday afternoon. Sunday afternoon, Chris Holt. Back behind second, the flip. Nice play by Marlon Anderson. So you get a hit, but leave a man. Bill Orwell, I'll see you tomorrow.
You got it.
We got to get you out early tomorrow night so you can get to Austin for Thursday night.
Okay. 7th inning. Let's look ahead now at the Astros' upcoming road schedule. It's brought to you by La Quinta. And after they play the Phillies tomorrow night, they'll head to St. Louis. The Cardinals on Channel 51. Then that's a Fox national game on Saturday, and then the Cardinals again. Glenn Barker remains in the game. He'll be at center field now. Russ Johnson will replace Caminetti at third. And Shane Reynolds goes into his 7th inning of work. He'll face Marlon Anderson. Here to take us the rest of the way is Bill Brown.
Thanks very much, Bill. Big lead for Shane now. Plenty of working room. And he's had a lot of tight games this year. Won that last one 3-1. He didn't have much room for mistakes in that game. Pretty unusual, really, for the Astros starting pitchers to have this kind of working room this year. No balls and 2 strikes, but certainly with their top 3 starters being in the top 5 in the league in innings pitched, it is a nice chance for Shane to just round out the outing a little bit, not have to worry about going deep into the game with just a slim lead or maybe no lead at all. Carlos Hernandez flips over for out number 1.
To find out how your favorite high school football team fares Friday night, tune in to High School Extra Live. Randy McElroy and Craig Way will bring you all the scores plus the highlights from that night's action. High School Extra Live, Friday at midnight on Fox Sports Net. You know, Larry let Hampton work 7 innings last night. I wonder if this will be the last inning for Shane. He's up to 92 pitches.
Be at all surprised. Desi Relaford faces him now. There's strike 1 to Relaford. He's 0 for 2. Torey Lovullo is on deck. Randy Johnson leads the league in innings pitched. He has 249 and 2/3 for Arizona. 0-2. Kevin Brown of the Dodgers just 2/3 of an inning ahead of Jose Lima. Lima's third with 222 innings. Mike Hampton has 214 and 2/3, and Shane 217 as of now. The Astros have 3 starters in the top 5 in innings pitched. 1 and 2. It's really been the core of the club's success. Astros starting pitchers continue to lead the league in ERA. And when Lima, Hampton, and Reynolds are on the mound, their combined record is 55 and 21. There's a shot. Ward is there. He'll toss to Reynolds, and the foot race is won by the Astros pitcher with a slide into first.
Oh, boy, is that dangerous.
Well, he got the ball late because Ward bobbled it, but the toss was anchored and leading him, and then he wanted to avoid a collision with Relaford.
Well, he got the ball late because he didn't get off the mound as quickly as maybe he should have. Now he's in a real foot race. And I'm always afraid you're going to jam an ankle on a play like this or get it stepped on.
He almost was.
Yeah, look, he almost got cleated right in the ankle.
Had he stood up, he could have gotten his legs tangled up, though, with Relaford, too.
Oh, yeah, well, that would have been a terrible collision had he stood up.
Ball 1 to Torey Lovullo. When you see a play like that, and you understand why a manager takes his players out of the game with a big lead.
Boy, don't you know Larry Dierker was holding his breath.
You bet. Into center field, Barker back for the catch to make it a 1-2-3. 7th for Shane Reynolds. That might be it for him tonight. The Astros lead at 10-2 heading to the bottom of the 7th inning. Let's take a look now at what's coming your way tonight on Fox Sports News following our game. 2 as Ricky Gutierrez faces Amori Telemaco. Telemaco throws strike 1. Randy Knorr is on deck to pinch hit for Shane Reynolds. Brian Williams in the Houston bullpen as Gutierrez bats. He has a perfect night going. 1 ball, 1 strike. It's been a good fit at shortstop for the Astros this year. Ricky Gutierrez and Tim Bogar picking each other up. 1-2. Ricky said he feels physically the best he has ever felt in the month of September because of the time that he spent out with the 2 broken bones in his left hand. He really has played only about a half a season overall this year, and doesn't feel like it's September.
You know, Cammy could be in that same category. He spent a lot of time out. He's rested. Everett has had a couple of trips to the DL. He's not as worn down, and You know, Eusebio even had a little rest there for a while. Seemed to perk his bat up.
Yes, he did. In the dirt, 2-2. So the two concerns as far as not having the rest would be Biggio and Bagwell, of course. The Astros do have off days the next 2 Thursdays, and that may help some. Sometimes a player will tell you, though, after he's been playing every single day, when you get to September, it really doesn't matter all that much to have just one day off.
Well, that adrenaline's flowing, too. You're ready to get out there and play.
One thing a little bit different this year for Craig Biggio was he did have an all-star break, and he hasn't had one of those for years. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Unusual to see him sitting on the bench, isn't it?
And it got his bat going, too, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
He came back with a vengeance, picked that average up over 300.
It's nice for him to have just a few innings off to unwind mentally and physically a little bit. He's played through a couple of tough injuries this year and played with them most of the year. Line drive into left center. Gutierrez gets another hit. And this one for extra bases again. It's his second double of the night. He's on base for the 4th straight time in this game. What a night for Ricky Gutierrez out of the number 8 spot.
If you make a mistake on him now, you pay. And this is a mistake in location by Telemaco. And you'll see where Estrella set up on the outside part of the plate. Look at that ball. It's in on the inner half of the plate, and Gutierrez makes him pay. That's what happens when you have a hot bat like that.
Gutierrez gets double number 7. Now it is Randy Knorr pinch hitting for Shane Reynolds. Randy takes strike 1. One of the Astros' 3 catchers. Randy's had a couple of chances with the Astros this year, hitting 179 for 28 at-bats. No homers or runs batted in. He's 0 for 2 pinch hitting. 0-2 to Randy, who was catching quite a bit at New Orleans, but also played some first base after the acquisition of George Williams. That was a tough year for those guys on the New Orleans Zephyrs this year. A real challenge for manager Tony Pena with all the losing they went through this season, all the call-ups and the injuries there. Knorr is a strikeout victim. That's out number 1.
In celebration of National Hispanic Heritage Month, Continental Airlines invites you to come to the Astros game tomorrow at 7:05 against the Phillies for a chance to win a trip for 2 to Santiago, Chile, Sao Paulo, Brazil, or Lima, Peru. Hotel and airfare provided by Continental Airlines Vacations and Continental Airlines, with nonstop service to over 25 Latin American cities. Continental Airlines, work hard, fly right.
Carlos Hernandez bats for the 2nd time. There's strike 1 to him. Tonight's crowd, 25,164. Tickets sold for this Tuesday night, and there are plenty of good seats available for that game tomorrow night. It's also a Coca-Cola family night, so you can get 4 tickets for $60 with the label from a 2-liter bottle of Coca-Cola Classic, specially marked. No balls and 2 strikes. Those Lima posters will be handed out tomorrow night, in addition to the trips that Bill mentioned, as we begin Hispanic Heritage Month, and that begins tomorrow night. Bobby Estrella out with a little pat on the backside for Telemaco. The crowds have really been appreciative, great. You could just feel all the energy here in the final few days of the Dome, and we're talking regular season, and you can imagine how this place might explode in postseason this year, Bill.
Well, and of course, you're going to have that type of electric atmosphere when Cincinnati comes to town after this next road trip. And that, you'd hope to put it away before then, where the games wouldn't mean anything, but you get a feeling that they're going to mean a lot.
Hernandez swings and fouls it. Got a little piece of it, apparently. Carlos still alive at 0-2. Kyle Farnsworth won for the Cubs over Pete Harnish. Terry Adams with the save tonight. And Chicago's 4-3 win over Cincinnati. Both clubs got 2 runs in the 9th inning. So the Astros have a golden opportunity here to whittle their magic number down by 2 and take a 4-game lead over the Reds. You don't really make a big deal out of magic numbers in a race this close until they get down to single digits, Bill.
Yeah.
a little too far ahead to think about clinching right now. There's a lot of work to be done still.
Yeah, this is a big road trip coming up after that Philly game tomorrow night. Astros appear to be on a mission, however, and there you see the games left here in the Dome. And there's some big ones.
Scott Ellerton and Robert Person tomorrow night. Hernandez fouls it away. The 6 games remaining in the Astros, with a win tonight, would have a 47-29 home record. They have really made this a dome field advantage again this year.
And they've played so well on the road lately, they have almost as good a road record now as Cincinnati, which has led the majors most all of the way this season.
The Reds are just a few games over 500 at home this year. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Carlos Hernandez. Cincinnati, with a loss tonight, goes to 40-35 at home. Hernandez fouls it back. Still a ball and 2 strikes. Also tracking the wild card race, Colorado leads over the Mets 7-1 after 7 tonight. And Jamie Wright is really pitching well in that game for the Rockies.
Pitched pretty well since it's come back up.
He has. Larry Walker going for a 2nd straight batting title for that Colorado club. Hernandez into center field, looping in front of Glanville for a single. Gutierrez takes 3rd as Carlos delivers.
Yeah, that was a good at bat. He was down 0-2. He fouled off a tough pitch, came back, and fought off a tough pitch for a base hit there.
That's his 2nd hit as an Astro. Here it is.
You know, he's a strong little guy. See how he got those hands out of the way. Got that bat out there.
He's been a big base stealer in the minor leagues. Runners at 1st and 3rd. 1 out for Bill Spires. Spires is 2 for 3, an RBI and a walk. Astros lead it by 8 here in the 7th inning. Ryan Williams has had plenty of time to warm up in the Houston bullpen. Ball 1 to Bill Spires. Milwaukee leads St. Louis 4-1, top of the 8th inning. Scott Carl pitching a gem there in St. Louis. Arizona 1, Pittsburgh nothing, top of the 5th. Brian Anderson against Francisco Cordova. 2 balls and no strikes. Atlanta 1, San Diego nothing, top of the 2nd. Kevin Millwood against Buddy Carlisle. Giants lead Florida 1-0, bottom of the 1st. Sean Estes for San Francisco. Ryan Dempster for Florida.
Atlanta's gone into a little tailspin.
Yes. 3-0. It is not a given that the Braves are going to win the NL East.
How many games do they have left for the Mets?
They have 6. Mets have the ability to overtake Atlanta. They're trailing by just 1. Strike call, 3-1. It's just such an interesting situation here. Even a team like Atlanta, with 90 wins, tied with Houston for the best in the league, could be out of the cold in less than 3 weeks. Playoff time arrives. Tap foul, 3-2. They had the quad flip yesterday to determine possible playoff sites in case of ties. Something you might want to tuck away because there looks like there's a distinct possibility of a tie, either for one of the 2 divisions in the East and Central or the wild card spot this year.
This is where that wild card really makes it exciting. This is what they put it in there for.
Ball 4, Bill Spires takes the stroll to load the bases with 1 out for Lance Berkman. You know, this is 1 year, Bill. The wild card really would not be needed in the National League to keep your interest. You've got 2 great red-hot division races. Galen Cisco out to the mound.
I think he's out there to tell Telemaco he's it.
There's nobody warming up.
Been using a lot of bullpen here lately.
The Astros had a blowout win last night, 13-2.
And really didn't get a lot of hits. That was due to Philly pitching all the wildness, bases on balls, hit batters, and it kind of started out that way for Bird tonight. He hit a couple of batters, but he got out of it early with a double play ball, but then he started hanging some pitches, and Shane Reynolds got a 2-run homer off of him early, and then it was off to the races.
The Astros beat the Phillies last Wednesday night in Philadelphia 10-2. This is their third game in double figures against the Phils. Lance Berkman flying to left in the fifth. Ball one to Berkman.
All right, Lance, get you something from the middle of the plate in and have a whack. Let it all hang out.
Glenn Barker on deck. It's hit deep. Lance Berkman with a bid for a slam. And it's off the glove of Glanville. It stays in play. Gutierrez scores. Right on his heels is Hernandez. It's a 2-run double for Lance Berkman. And the Astros lead it 12-2. Second double of the year for Berkman. 2 RBIs give him 14. It might have been a slam, then it might have been an out, and it wound up being a compromised double, Bill.
Well, boy, he hit this a long way. He got the pitch he wanted over the middle of the plate, put a good swing on it. I thought it was a great job by Glanville to get to the wall. The problem is you're fighting that wall off. You know you're on the warning track, and it hit that wall first and then hit off his glove. That would have been a circus catch.
Glenn Barker's the batter.
That's a lot of power to hit one as far as he did in this ballpark.
Yes, it is. Strike one to Barker. Runners at second and third. Russ Johnson on deck. Wayne Gomes warming up in the Phillies bullpen. 12-2 game. Barker fouls it away. Quickly, it's 0-2 for Amori Telemaco.
Interesting thing, all the scouts that we have at the games now, and we have a bunch of them here tonight, they have to be sending back in their scouting reports that the Astros just 1 month ago had no bench whatsoever, and now because of the two kids they brought up from New Orleans, come playoff time, that bench is looking pretty good.
Well, it is, in fact.
There they are, down there.
You know, one reason scouts love a game like this is that they get to see a lot of players.
Exactly.
They have to file reports on as many players as are on both of these clubs, and it's hard to file a report if you can't see the player.
I mean, not just a month ago, that the bench for Larry Dierker was non-existent.
2-2. Now the difficult thing might be the choice of which 25 players are on the playoff roster.
Well, I think a few are starting to emerge.
There are many candidates, especially with the disabled list as of August 31st. Barker swings and misses, coming up empty for out number 2. Russ Johnson will be next. Doesn't sound very good for Derek Bell returning anytime soon, though, with that ribcage.
It's going to be tough, and of course the emergence of Ward in left field and the way he's hitting is going to make that situation a little easier to take. This kid up here right now is going to give you a much stronger bench. Russ Johnson has really come on in the last month or so, especially as a pinch hitter.
He really has. Ball one to Russ.
And in fact won a game in Philadelphia.
Put down a squeeze bunt against Kenny Rogers of the Mets. And a pitch 3-run homer. Against the Phillies, he's really done some nice things. 1 ball, 1 strike. It's a tough situation for a guy like Russ because he has limited opportunities to produce. He's had 145 at-bats. Second baseman Anderson calls, and catches. In the 7th inning for the Astros, 2-run score on 3 hits with 2 left. After 7, it's 12-2 Houston.
After the Reds lost tonight to the Chicago Cubs, Astros with a big 12-2 lead going to the top of the 8th. It's another quadruple header of college football this Saturday, and here's the lineup. And if you haven't had a chance to see Heisman candidate Ron Dane, then don't miss the Wisconsin-Cincinnati matchup at 2:15. It all begins at 11 here on Fox Sports Net.
Randy Knorr stays in the game to do the catching. He's in the 9th spot in the order, and Brian Williams takes over in the 7th position. Tony Eusebio leaves after going 1 for 4. Brian's 2-1 with a 4.32 ERA in 43 games. He's worked 58 and a third innings, walking 31 and fanning 46. Doug Glanville tripled in the 6th inning. He's 1 for 3. Gutierrez to his right takes care of the first out for Brian Williams on 1 economical pitch. Shane Reynolds, 7 innings, 6 hits, 2 runs, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. He could be 16 and 11. Ron Gant has 2 hits and an RBI, also a run scored for the Phillies tonight. So with Brian Williams coming in this double switch, it appears that Larry Dierker wants him to pitch the final 2 innings, save the other relievers for tomorrow night, Bill.
Not bad. Good way to work it out.
Gant to center field. Barker heading in with dispatch. Nice play by Glenn Barker. His legs were churning. 2 pitches, 2 outs from Brian Williams.
That's why you hate that AstroTurf. You got him a little burn there on the arm, but look at the speed of this guy. Now talk about that Rule 5 situation that we talked about earlier. He has really done a lot with his leg. He's stolen some key bases this year. He's scored some big runs, and he's played some great defense to center field.
He has. Bobby Estalella is the batter. For the first time tonight, there's strike 1 to Estalella. He's been in the big leagues before with the Phillies. Did not have a particularly good year at Scranton. He's 0 for 6 as a Philly this year. Estalella takes the ball. 1 ball and 1 strike. Estelalla's been in only 2 Philadelphia games so far.
Saw a little of him last year, though. He hit pretty well against us tail end of the season.
He sure did. This year he hit only .231 at Scranton. 15 homers, 62 RBIs, and 386 at-bats. He yanks that one foul.
That's why you keep those guys over there protecting your bullpen catcher.
Steve Shrink, joined by another reliever there in the Philly bullpen.
Shrink says that's how they were hitting them off me last night.
Wade Miller is getting loose in the bullpen now for the Astros, maybe just getting in some work, or perhaps to pitch the 9th inning. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Estalella, who has 14 homers and 69 career Major League games, covering just 217 at-bats. Breaking pitch in the dirt makes it 3-2 to Estalella.
No walks, Brian. Just challenge him. Let him hit it.
Astros bullpen has pitched 15 consecutive scoreless innings. The relievers have combined for a 3.68 earned run average. Yank foul. Estalella pulled his hands in and whacked that one a long way foul.
When you watch this guy take batting practice, he'll scare you to death. He is put together. He is rock solid. They got a pretty good catcher now, though.
Lieberthal should be able to hold the Ford down for a few years if he stays healthy. Gutierrez makes another play, and that is a quick 8th inning for Brian Williams and company. In the middle of the 8th, the Astros lead at 12-2. Both 8-game winners, and they are set to go for you tomorrow night. Hope you'll join us for that one. As Person, the former Toronto Blue Jay, comes to the hill, and the Phillies try to salvage 1 game of the season series. Wayne Gomes is a pitcher here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Darrell Ward takes strike 1 from the hard-throwing right-hander Gomes. First-round choice of the Phillies a few years ago. One-sided ball game. Gomes coming in for an inning of work. It goes to 1-1. Ward's had a fine night, going 2 for 4, driving in 2 in the 4th inning. One ball and 2 strikes. Gomes took over as the closer this year with the injury to Jeff Brantley. Brantley pitched in 10 games. Gomes has pitched in 66, going 4-5 with 18 saves and a 4.41 ERA.
It's not a stat you want to see your closer have, is it?
No, also the 45 walks in 65 innings. A little tense. Fly ball to left. Ducey, Rob Ducey, just in the game, takes care of out number 1. And Kevin Sefcik is in center field. 45 walks indicating that Wayne Gomes has not hit his spots this year, and in addition to that, opponents are hitting 260 against him. Brian Williams will come in for a rare at bat. Larry Durker wants to leave him in to pitch the 9th.
This is for bragging rights at pitcher's batting practice tomorrow. This is a big at bat for Williams.
Right.
Don't think he's not taking this seriously.
He's 1 for 2. Remember, he was drafted out of high school as a shortstop.
Yes, he was, and a heck of a hitter in college. Where was it, South Carolina?
Carolina. 0-2. Hope there's something left in South Carolina in a few days from the sounds of things, Bill. Boy, that sounds pretty rough. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Brian. Well, let's see. Pitchers hitting have done a fine job for the Astros this year. Mike Hampton has 19 hits. Shane Reynolds hit a home run, so that makes it 3 homers by the Houston pitching staff this year. In addition to that, Scott Ellerton has 4 hits. He started the year in the pen, so you couldn't expect a lot out of him as a hitter. Jose Lima has 6 hits. Brian Williams, the only reliever to get a hit so far this year for Houston. It's 2-2 to Brian. Astros drafted him as a compensation pick right after the 1st round in 1990. Third baseman with the pickup. Kevin Jordan with the throw. 2 outs.
I mean, they're pretty good.
Yes, he did. 15 hits for Houston tonight.
Here's a guy that got it started, though, Ricky Gutierrez, who's still in there, and he's having a big night tonight. A couple of doubles and a single and a walk.
Check out his batting average now. He's up to 289. Started the night at 279. He's gone 3 for 3 with a walk, an RBI, 2 doubles, 3 runs scored for Ricky. There's strike 1. Bogart's been banged up for a while, so Ricky's getting most of the playing time at short. Off the mound and to shortstop Relaford, who throws wide at first base. Gutierrez will get another hit.
Yes, indeed.
A 4-hit game for Ricky, and he's reached base all 5 times. It's a big, big night.
Tell you what, Gomes is pretty lucky here. Well, we're not going to see him get out of the way, but a pretty nice play by Relaford just to get to the ball. Like a spring training game on my book. I've got so many different players.
Ricky ties his career high with a 4-hit game. Randy Knorr's the batter. He struck out in the 7th inning. Strike 1 to Knorr. Astros have been fattening their batting average in recent days. They're now 8th in the league in runs scored. Supporting the pitching staff very nicely the last several days. It's 0-2. One thing they'd certainly like to change is the way they have hit against the top teams in the league. That has really given them an image that they don't like right now. The team being unable to perform well against the top clubs in the league.
Yeah, but Brownie, you and I know, and some of our good fans know too, that that was done during that period of time when those key injuries hit. And really, when you look at the records against the good teams, they came without this lineup that the Astros are putting out there right now.
Very good point, Bill. Jordan to his left, throws to second for the force on Gutierrez. No runs ahead, a man left for the Astros. Going to the ninth, it's 12-2 Houston.
PM key play of the game. It came back in the second inning. Astros leading at 1-0 until right now, when Shane Reynolds unloads a 2-run homer, giving the Astros a 3-0 lead, and it was just 3 of 12. Now Wade Miller will check in for Houston.